On today's video, I wanted to show you exactly how I helped a clinic called Elite Edge Physio based in Sydney increase their weekly consults by about 20% in just 6 weeks. So the point of this video is to show you the step-by-step process of what we did, me and the owner Mike did together to get him this result and how he's going to hopefully maintain this for the entirety of his clinic's life and his career. So Elite Edge is a 5-man team down in Sydney's southwest, and he initially contacted me because he just wanted to see what I did and whether I'd be able to help his team be more comfortable in pitching treatment plans and better plans for his patients. Now, to give you an idea of exactly the results we were able to achieve, I want to protect his business privacy, so I'm not going to tell you exactly how many consults we were able to increase by, but I'll express everything as a percentage of what he initially was booking at, and then each week as the consulting and coaching began, what it became, how it ended. Okay, so let me just give you an example. Let's just say that in the beginning, he had 100 consults, and when we started consulting, let's just say the week after, he had 110 consults, then it would be a 10% increase in his consulting numbers. And then if in week 3, it was say 130 consults, then based off the initial starting week of 100, the 30 consult difference would be a 30% increase, okay? So to give you an idea of what happened, on the 14th of July, that was when our consulting began. So we use that as our base. 1 week after, 21st of July, it was a 9% increase. 28th of July, which was 2 weeks after, it was a 31% increase. And then the week after that, the 4th of August, was a 26% increase. The week after that, the 11th of August, was the 19% increase. And on the 18th of August, which was another week after, it was a 19% increase. So I just took the average of the 5 weeks where I was actually active within his business, and it worked out to be about 20% increase overall. Now, whether you believe in that statistic or not is up to you, but the numbers, don't lie, the numbers are in front of me, and if you want to ask him, he'd tell you the same thing. So as far as weekly revenue goes, you can imagine that if you're a business owner, if you're a clinic owner anyway, and you have 20% increase in your overall bookings, it could be 30 more rebookings, 40 more rebookings, maybe 50, 60 more rebookings. What does that look like for you revenue-wise if we just base that off the follow-up consult rate? So that's already so powerful, and if he's able to get this in the last 5 weeks, imagine what that looks like for him in a year's time if he's able to maintain this 20% increase in rebookings. This could probably be something like a 100 to 150K or even 200K increase in revenue depending on how many team members you have. So now let me break down exactly the step-by-step process we took in order to get this result. So step 1 is actually me and Mike just sat down to figure out what the hell the problem was, because you can't achieve results like this if you don't have a very, very, very deep understanding of what the problem is anyway. So I'd like to hear from Mike what he perceives the problem to be, and from there I have to give him some ideas as to could it be this also, could it be this also, and through that exploration process we're able to narrow down maybe 3 or 4 key points that we need to work on in order to get him the result that he wants. Now the paradox is a lot of people think that doing a lot is actually going to be effective, but if I can just improve 2 or 3 things within your team, that actually has more of an impact than if I was to try and give them hours and hours and hours of content or so much technique that they essentially just forget anything that I'm teaching. So we nailed down exactly what it was we think was the problem, and then I moved on to step 2. Step 2 is just, how does it look? So I went away, I spent a couple of hours writing an email with the recap of exactly what Mike told me was the problem, and then I strategized as to how I might actually address these problems with the tools that I have and the solutions that I have. And then after I flicked it back to him, I waited for him to tell me exactly what he thought about it and whether he's happy with it before we moved on to any official paid arrangement. So with Mike, he was happy with what I presented. He was keen on getting things started. So after he got the meeting recap, I sent him an invoice for a deposit to begin my work. And then we started planning all the workshop dates. Now, after we officially decided to start working together, I hid in my cave where I'm recording this video from and just started planning the workshops. So I created the content. I also decided on what the delivery method would be. So I think there's a lot of people who think that a presentation or a workshop is just them writing on a board or talking to people. I personally don't like to talk for too long when I'm doing a workshop because I like to give them the idea, facilitate an open discussion, and then have them role play or practice in front of me so I can actually give them the coaching that they need. But also, if I can observe that it's not working for them, then it exposes a mindset or a belief that I need to address in order for them to be able to move through to practice these skills properly. As I'm planning this content, I decided on 5 specific things I wanted to work on, which was the ways to improve the pitch, the specific techniques that they'll use to set expectations, learning how to empathize with patient objections, and that's how you overcome them, what true patient retention looks like, what it is actually, and what marketing is and how to do it in their field because they do sports coverage. So that's basically a form of marketing. Step 4. By the way, guys, if you enjoy learning about sales and communication for the health field, then you might like my book, How to Rebook Patients Without Being Pushy. If you want to learn more about it, just head down to the description box. Back to the episode. Very simple. I just went in there and I presented the workshops using the facilitative style that I just described. And then after the workshops, I would provide online support and I'd send some text messages to see how everyone's going. And within every workshop, I'd always begin the workshop by consolidating what they did last week. So we actually intentionally split up the workshops to at least a week or a fortnight apart because that gave them enough time to practice these skills. And when I came in, I could actually ask them about what they did and they would tell me what didn't work, what worked, and their experiences. Now, this was the really cool bit because most people, when I present to them these techniques, they actually don't take it right away because in the health field, anytime sales is even mentioned, they think it's automatically just the worst thing to do. So with these guys, one of them actually told me, you know what, I wasn't really convinced that these techniques were going to work, but I gave them a go anyway. And then he had one patient who chose to do more care, and that changed how he saw these techniques. And he said, maybe your techniques do work. And right now the numbers aren't lying. 20% increase doesn't come from nowhere consistently. So clearly by improving their ability to pitch, by improving their ability to frame their treatment plans in certain ways, patients are more educated and they're able to choose a plan that works best for them. And sometimes this is a lower plan, like once a week, but sometimes these patients actually want 2-3 times a week because they value the supervision and the time it might save them by getting more frequent care. Now, step 6 is after all the workshops were completed, Mike and I sat down and I gave him the tools to maintain these workshop results. Because one of the mistakes that I made in the past with workshops is thinking that giving them a once-off workshop that is effective, that they like, is going to mean sustained improvement. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works. These behaviors need to be reinforced and ingrained either by the clinic owner or a practice manager, or else most people just get complacent and it doesn't become their normal. For myself, it's normal for me because I've been doing it for so long, and because I run my own business, I have to do it and it's giving me success. So right now, I don't even really need to think about it. But for a lot of other clinicians who are doing this for the first time, it's not natural to them yet. So as a practice manager or a clinic owner, you have to reinforce this either weekly or fortnightly so that they don't forget the skills. And the more they do it, the more success they get. Eventually, it's going to become something that they don't even think about. So that's basically the entire process that I went through with Mike. And obviously, I'm leaving a lot of things out because for privacy reasons, I can't share everything about Mike's business. But you can imagine that if he maintains his 20% improvement, what that looks for his yearly revenue statement. But also, with all that extra revenue, you can do so much more to improve your team's commissions if you want to do that. You can improve your clinic, you can improve the marketing efforts to deliver a better standard of care for the community around you. And with Mike, having known him for a better part of 2-3 months now, it's very clear to me that he just wants to keep improving his practice and make it an impactful business for his local community. So if you're interested in learning more about this, you're more than welcome to book in a strategy consult that you can find in the link below. Take care, bye.